Story 1. Knowing their password and using their phone sometimes for random things feels normal and healthy as it shows mutual trust and no secrets. However, checking their messages or any private things without asking them first or having established that is okay beforehand is an invasion of privacy and shows a lack of trust and respect. Story 2. If it is from trust and openness, it is fine. If it is from suspicion or control, it is a problem. A healthy marriage needs honesty and respect for privacy, not secrecy. If checking feels necessary, the real issue is trust, not the phone. Story 3. My partner always has access to my phone, but snooping through my private messages, email, and so on is a relationship-ending violation of trust. I give them access for emergencies or if we are driving and I need them to send a text, things like that. Not to spy on me. A relationship is nothing without trust. Story 4. It seems very strange to be in a relationship where you do not trust each other. I cannot imagine being in a relationship and feeling the need to check each other's phones. Story 5. It never bothered me. I even wrote down all my passwords because I never had anything to hide. She passed a few years ago. Before she passed, she asked me if I wanted her passwords. I told her no, I did not think she would hide anything. After she passed and before I reset her phone, I went through it, and I was right. There was nothing in it. Story 6. My wife went through mine about 5 months ago. I have given her zero reason not to trust me. I work from home. I'm always home with her or with one of my kids. I literally do nothing to give any indication that I'm doing anything wrong. I gave her my phone to deal with some technical issues I was having. I have a 4-digit password, but everyone in my house knows it. I have handed my wife my phone 1,000 times. The time I'm speaking of, I left the phone with her while I took my son to his game. My wife was going to call the phone provider and handle the issue I was having. She decided to go full-bore Inspector Gadget. Turns out I'm the most boring person on earth, with the exception of the business I run. Well, I feel totally invaded. For reference, I have never once gone into my wife's purse, let alone her phone. I have been married going on 30 years. I feel violated. I'm not happy. The worst part is she has not offered to let me look at her phone. She has facial recognition technology blocking it. I don't know. Should I be suspicious of her? Anyway, there is a big difference between being open and honest and invading privacy. Tread carefully, my friends. Story 7. I do not care unless she snatches it out of my hand while I am using it, in which case I get annoyed because I was using it. Story 8. I could not care less. We both know each other's pins, and in the house we just grab whoever's phone is closest if we need one. Story 9. My wife and I both have confidential work information on our phones. I am happy to show her anything, but I would not hand over my phone. She feels the same. Story 10. Huge red flag. My husband does not check my phone, and I do not check his. We also do not have trackers, because I think that is insane. You either trust your partner or you do not. Story 11. Absolutely not. It is my phone. People send messages to me, and they assume I read them. You would not read my diary or open my mail, so leave my phone alone. Story 12. Hard no from me. I have nothing to hide, but if they are determined to find something to justify their suspicions, they will jump on anything, innocent or not. If you do not trust your partner, end it. Story 13. No big deal to me, unless she is constantly doing it specifically because of trust issues she has with me, then I am kind of annoyed. Story 14. All the nopes ever noped in Nopeland. I would not allow it, nor would I accept it. He has my passkey to get into my phone in an emergency, but access whenever he wants? No freaking way. And no, I don't want access to his phone either, except the passkey for emergencies. Allowing someone to have access to your phone is not healthy. I call nonsense on, if you have nothing to hide, it's no big deal. Because what kind of person are you? Do you have no innermost thoughts or feelings? Do you both live in each other's pockets? What about boundaries? Boundaries is another trendy word people throw around, but I don't think they know what it means in practice. There seems to be a notion among younger people that allowing access to your phone, basically every aspect of your life, thoughts, friends, banking, is somehow proof that you love and trust each other. No, it's not. It's actually your insecurities showing up, thinking if you make yourself entirely vulnerable to someone and have no boundaries, that somehow means you really love them and they really love you. If you demand access or they demand access, the relationship is not healthy. Demanding or expecting access means the relationship already has some unaddressed problems. What's that? You gave him access 3 weeks into the relationship when he didn't ask for it? Why? It doesn't prove you are trustworthy, but it does show you probably already don't trust the guy. Or else you are subtly forcing him to give you reciprocal access. It's a no-win. I gave you access. Why aren't you giving me access? Bad foundation for a relationship, especially when 3 weeks in, you are madly enthralled to hormones, pheromones, and all the romantic tropes about love, when it's just your gonads checking in. Older relationships, for example, actual marriage, if you suddenly want access or the partner suddenly wants it, then what's really going on? Sounds like the lizard brain has engaged and is shouting a warning that something's off. By the way, access for getting photos is nonsense. Just send the photos to their phone. Problem solved. Story 15. Checking is unnecessary unless it has been previously indicated that there is a problem. By default, my phone is private, and I have nothing on it that would cause any issues. Story 16. My phone is not locked, and I leave it lying around. I do not think she even bothers. True trust is something you cannot understand unless you have it. Story 17. I don't care. Sometimes he uses my phone and I do the same with his. He has not given me any reason not to trust him. Story 18. There is nothing wrong with it. As long as I am in a committed relationship, I should expect that, and it is fine. Story 19. She can look at it any time she likes. We were together for a long time before we got smartphones. I rarely talk to anyone other than her and my parents. Story 20. No, it's crazy, and only the younger generation thinks it's acceptable. When did people stop having any form of privacy? I mean, you do not watch your spouse on the toilet, do you? It is the same thing. Story 21. If this is done out of trust and consent, it is normal. But if it is done out of suspicion or control, it is a warning sign and a violation of personal boundaries. Story 22. Not great, it feels like a boundary crossing for me. The first part is that my conversations are private. I have had friends open up to me about personal issues, and I keep their confidence. More importantly, this is a signal of a lack of trust, which is a big deal for me. I would never ask to go through my partner's phone because I trust them. If they ask to go through mine, it means we have bigger problems than letting them look at my texts. Story 23. I don't care because she knows that I am good at keeping things secure and private, and that I am too tired to even think about having an affair anyway. Story 24. My mom often checks my dad's phone and laptop for important emails, and my dad checks my mom's phone for events in the calendar. My little brother plays video games on both. If you are a family, there is really no such thing as checking phones. It is just looking at stuff unless you have some trust issues. Story 25. If she wants to see nudes, it is faster to look in the mirror. Seriously though, it is annoying at best and a harbinger of doom at worst. Story 26. My wife and I use each other's phones all the time. It is only an issue if it goes one way in the relationship. Story 27. Neither my wife nor I feel the need to check each other's phones because we trust each other. If she did ask to check it, I would think there was a problem. Story 28. If they let me check theirs, then sure. I have nothing to hide since I watch my adult content in a secured virtual box anyway. The only real problem is if they start messing with my files and settings. Story 29. I do not love it, but I have nothing to hide. I think I have looked at his phone once in the last year, and I did not like that either. Story 30. Not a fan of it. It is a red flag for sure. But go ahead. When she says you can check mine, I just shrug and say I am good. Story 31. Nothing to hide, but at the same time, it is almost insulting that she would think if there was something to hide, I would not have the paranoia and the knowledge to hide it from her. Story 32. I am single, so I can have whatever I want on my phone, including the pictures I need for research purposes. Story 33. I would be upset if Lady Wired was checking my phone, but her using it is fine. Checking implies mistrust. I have nothing to hide, but I would resent her thinking I did. She can and does grab my phone all the time to use it, and I use her phone too. Story 34. Honestly, it's a bit much, but I wish my ex had asked to check my phone. She accused me of lying to her and violating trust. Things her ex did, but I was nothing but loyal to her. I would have handed my phone over if she had asked. I had nothing to hide. Story 35. If they ask, fine. If they go snooping without my permission because they suspect me of something, then I am not comfortable with that. I do not have anything to hide, but I also want my privacy respected. If they want to know something, just ask. I would not cheat or lie in the first place. Story 36. He can check whenever or whatever, but if I start to feel like there is an entire investigation going on against me, then I guess that is the beginning of the end. I rarely change out of my pajamas these days. There cannot be a clearer sign that I am going nowhere. Story 37. He can use my phone. He can open the drawer. He can drive my car or do whatever. He cannot come in when I am going to the bathroom, and he is respectful when I am taking a shower or dressing. He respects my privacy and boundaries. I do not do anything that puts him on high alert. If I were in a relationship where I was doing nothing to put somebody on high alert and they were regularly going through my phone to try to find evidence of a problem, then we would have an issue. Story 38. I have nothing to hide. That means my spouse should have no concerns with letting me check their phone if they want to check mine. That's how trust and openness work. Rules for thee but not for me is the antithesis of that. Story 39. Go for it, darling, and order us some pizza and wings. I do not know what made you insecure enough to think that I may be deceitful, but I am an open book and will always be transparent. However, I will not enable your insecurities if you continue to press me without justification. Story 40. If she does the New York Times crossword puzzle and it accesses my work email, that would be a problem. Otherwise, I could not care less. Story 41. The secret of my 42-year relationship with my fantastic wife is that we do not keep secrets from each other. Story 42. I do not care. The only reason my phone has a lock on it is because an application I use to log in to work requires one. We know each other's passcodes. Story 43. I have nothing to hide from her, but I am very particular about my boundaries, and that is one of them. I assume it is because I was an only child and grew up with the privilege of being very private with my things. That being said, she has definitely used my phone before. I am not hiding it from her or forbidding her to touch it. Story 44. If I had one, I do not care. She will find no contacts she does not know, no messages that would surprise her, about 50 gigabytes of memes, pictures of my dog, pictures of the motorcycle, and a handful of pictures of her. Maybe if I had the space. Story 45. I would be annoyed if he did it because he did not trust me or wanted to as a matter of course. But I do not ever think about it and he would never ask, so I do not care. I will hand him my phone to do something or fix something without worrying if he is going to find some incriminating text or whatever, and that is fine. Story 46. I do not have a spouse, but I do not care. I will never put myself in a position to have anything to hide ever again. If you feel the need to go through my phone, I will try to understand what in my behavior makes you want to do that. I will not make you feel worse for needing to do so. If you are an overthinker, I will over-explain. Story 47. If she asked for it right now, I would give it to her. I have nothing to hide. If there is anything questionable, I would tell her. Story 48. Neither of us feels the need to check each other's phone. We use each other's phones for things without concerns, but I have never felt the need to look through her texts or anything else. If she suggested she wanted to look through my phone, I would probably be concerned that she is hiding something on hers, to be honest. Story 49. I would be uncomfortable if he was checking it because he did not trust me. If he is using it because it is convenient, I do not care and he does not need to ask. I have often asked him to check my text messages when I am driving or otherwise occupied. If he is suspicious of me in some way, I would prefer a conversation first, and then I would freely hand over my phone for his comfort. but we would have a long conversation about why he has suspicions and what we can do about it. Story 50. I've got nothing to hide. I would warn her, though, if you read my Reddit posts, you will find that I am even more boring online than in real life. Story 51. I do not personally care. There is nothing on there she cannot see, but I would be more concerned to know why she felt she needed to look. Story 52. We both have fingerprints on each other's phones. We have nothing to hide and often use the other's phone to look things up. I don't care because there is nothing to hide. If someone is jealous or does not trust, I do not want to be with that person. Story 53. The only time I ever worried was when I received an email from the store where I bought her birthday gift. But then I just said, don't open my email. There is an email with details of your birthday gift. She can do whatever she wants with my phone, and I can do the same with hers. Story 54. We have each other's passcodes, and neither of us would mind if the other used their phone for something. However, we both believe that privacy and truth are very important, so neither of us would ever go snooping. Story 55. Neither of us cares if the other uses our devices. We have both given each other our passwords, though I know he still cannot remember mine, but that is not the point. He still has full access anytime he wants. It is really nice, refreshing, and comforting to be in a relationship where you can just hand the other your phone, laptop, tablet, or whatever and not think twice. Plus, if one of us sees a recent search history that is maybe a bit not safe for work, that is kind of a sign someone might be in the mood. Story 56. The intention matters more than the checking itself. I have nothing to hide, so I am fine with it. However, if you are checking it behind my back, it implies a lack of trust. That is not acceptable. Story 57. I am a 75-year-old male and a widower. My wife is no longer alive, but when she was, we had no secrets from each other. She had full access to my phone, my laptop, my bank accounts, my investment accounts, and so on. Not only my phone and laptop, she also knew the usernames and passwords for all my social media accounts and others. She had a printed list of all these details, which I kept updated. Likewise, I had all her equivalent information. We were married for over 41 years when she died, and we never kept secrets from each other. I am getting older and am partially disabled. I live with my daughter and her husband. I happen to know they do the same thing. I have heard them talking about it and have seen one tell the other when a password or other detail changed. The other then takes out a sheet of paper that has all that information listed for the spouse and updates their copy. They also keep a list of everything for both of them on a laptop, update it from time to time, and print a copy for each. They started giving me a copy for both of them, just in case something happens to them. This includes bank account information, credit card data, social media accounts, phone details, and so on. I will not look at that information unless there is a real need, just as I never looked at my wife's phone while she was alive, although I could have. I did check it after she died because she had phone numbers for some friends whose numbers I did not have. I knew the person and their name but had never needed their phone number. I expect some people will say this is old-fashioned or a bad idea, but in the case of a committed couple, I do not see any valid reason to keep secrets from each other. Story 58. I could not care less. She has my passcode, and she is welcome to rifle through it anytime she wants. And I with hers. We do not keep secrets from each other. Story 59. I think that if you agree to it, both parties have to look at the phone equally. However, I do not know. Story 60. There is a vast difference between, "Hey, can I use your phone? Let me read those texts to see if I can make more sense of it," and, "Hey, can I check your phone to see what you are up to?" If you have reached the point of the latter, you are either actually guilty of something and your partner knows you are acting suspicious, or you have an overreaching partner. I have nothing to hide. My partner can take my phone at any point and look through it and find nothing. I have no passcode, and I have no issues with letting them check photos or messages for genuine reasons. I do, however, have a problem if the sole reason for checking my phone is suspicion of infidelity or fuel for an argument. That makes the issue a personal problem. Have I been acting suspicious without realizing? Do I have an overreacting partner? These are things I need to resolve before they become a huge issue. You need to decide where your trust and privacy start and end. Story 61. My partner has their own phone, and unless they need it for a specific reason, they have no reason to check my phone. I believe more adults should be comfortable with the idea that even when in a relationship, you are still your own person with a right to privacy and boundaries. Story 62. Not once have I ever gone through my wife's phone. I trust her, and I do not need to prove it to myself. She has never even asked to check mine. You either trust each other or you do not. Having nothing to hide is irrelevant. Story 63. Why would I care? As long as she does not mess things up. She does not mind if I get into her phone as long as I do not mess things up. We have been married for 25 years. Story 64. My phone is her phone, and her phone is mine, except near Christmas and birthdays. In short, I don't care and neither does she, but we don't check each other's phones. That is some distrustful behavior. Story 65. We both have full access to each other's phones and do not check them because we trust each other. We discuss our issues directly with each other, not with others. Story 66. We have each other's passwords to everything. No need to check when you are in a trusting relationship. Story 67. Honestly, I would not care. I have nothing to hide. On an unrelated note, how does someone clear their Reddit history? Story 68. My fiancé has my passwords and I have his. I will ask him to check messages or please respond to a mutual friend if I am busy and his phone is not nearby. He will ask the same of me. That is healthy and very telling that you trust your partner and have nothing to hide. The only thing I have ever cringed at and laughed in absolute embarrassment was when he saw my search history. That was hilarious. If you feel as though you have to search your partner's phone or vice versa, the phone is not the issue. Either party is clearly doing something that gives reasons to be suspicious. Therefore, it is time for a more difficult conversation. Story 69. My phone does not have any passwords or codes. He is free to use it. There is nothing to hide. I would even trade phones for 24 to 48 hours and feel comfortable. No worries here. Story 70. We have been together for almost 15 years now, and we have free access to each other's phones. I cannot imagine having to live every day trying to hide what is on my phone from him. The stress. There is no real reason to be on his phone, other than maybe to see a picture he took of our cats and forgot to share. The audacity. Oh, and I used to play Pokemon Go for him sometimes. The worst thing he can find on my phone is the frankly outrageous number of pictures of our cats. Story 71. I do not care. As long as he does not change my settings, interfere with my games, or delete my pictures, it is all good. Story 72. I do not care one bit. He has my passcode and I have his. We regularly leave our phones around each other when we are showering, working outside, or doing whatever. I have never once gone through his phone trying to find something. We trust each other. Story 73. I have nothing to hide. My wife also has no reason to check my phone. We are together almost all the time, except when she goes to work. I work from home. She knows she is all I ever need, so there is nothing to worry about. We are secure adults. Story 74. Honestly, I would be okay. There would be no secrets between my partner and me. Any conversation I have with my friends, they can be a part of it. They can take my phone and message on my behalf. Except for conversations where the friend or family member is not comfortable sharing it with anyone. Even then, my partner would know the high-level concern at least without the details because why should I worry alone? Story 75. In theory, there is no issue as I have nothing to hide. In practice, however, it demonstrates massive trust issues which would be a deal-breaker for me. I could not live my life not being trusted by the person who is supposed to love me. Story 76. My foster mom, now my mom, used to invade my privacy in every way possible, delete my media, and attempt to destroy relationships I made with those around me because I came out as transgender and she went into attack mode. As a naturally jumpy person due to childhood trauma, I feel extremely uncomfortable with someone sifting through my phone or observing my phone usage. Therefore, checking my phone is not allowed. My phone stays with me at all times. However, I am happy to let my partner use my phone to look up something, play music, or similar activities. But checking my phone is a firm no. It gives me the creeps. I would be devastated if they messaged people or made posts through my accounts. Story 77. Generally, the person feeling the need to check their partner's phone is the one who has something to hide on theirs. Story 78. She is going to find out that I am an ancient alien deity who just happens to be going through a difficult phase. Story 79. If someone is checking your phone because you are open about everything and have given them permission to do so when you cannot access your phone yourself, then it is acceptable. However, if they are constantly checking it to maintain trust, it indicates they do not actually trust you. In that case, the relationship is likely to fail unless both partners work through the issue together. Story 80. Absolutely not, especially if I have not given any reason for doing so, even suggesting it would result in me leaving. Story 81. I lean towards no problem, but I did have a time when I kept my phone locked and away from my wife. I was not cheating on her in any way, but I had talked about our marital problems with a longtime friend. I knew if she found out that I had discussed some of those things, she would have been very upset. Story 82. It's okay. I don't keep my world domination plans on my phone. It's a PowerPoint on a memory stick. Story 83. When I was married, my then husband and I had each other's face identification and fingerprints set up on each other's phones. Of course, we shared the passcode too. There can be no other way in a loyal relationship. Having no secrets is the basis of trust. We never snooped on each other's phones. But that was because we had nothing to hide. Story 84. My ex-wife cheated on me in the past. This could have been discovered much sooner by checking her phone. My current partner and I know each other's passwords and never hide anything from each other. This was a ground rule established early in the relationship. Story 85. No. Off limits. Just because you think I should change my settings does not mean I agree. Have the settings you like on your phone and leave my phone alone. I will handle it. Story 86. She can have my phone, but it would be nice if I could keep all my French fries. Not a big deal, but a boy can dream. Story 87. I have no concerns with my wife using or looking at my phone. If she were checking my phone, that would indicate a lack of trust. I would probably discuss what was prompting the concern like a normal adult in a healthy relationship. Story 88. There is nothing there that would be bad behavior on my part. I might still feel self-conscious about trivial matters, and I would still feel like it was a breach of trust and privacy to expect access. I am not a child to be checked up on, looking for whether I have followed rules. If you trust me, then you do not need to dig around. If you do not trust me, then what are we even doing together? Potentially, it is not just my own privacy that is implicated. I want it to be possible for friends or family to message me about something in confidence, even if they do not want it shared with anyone else. Story 89. I don't like it because you're running into issues already at that point. That said, if they asked, I would show them with no problem. If they tried to do it behind my back, the relationship would be over. Story 90. It's an invasion of privacy. People have boundaries even when married. I would never use my wife's phone without her consent. It is her private property, and I have no right to access it behind her back. Someone disagreed with me once, saying, "If you have nothing to hide." I asked them how they would feel if they found out their partner had secretly installed cameras in the bathroom. Obviously, they said they would feel violated. I said, "Well, if you have nothing to hide." Story 91. Checking in how? Looking for what? Sounds like there are trust issues. My wife uses my phone whenever she wants and can use my computer anytime, and it is no issue. If she asked to check messages, I would wonder what is going on. That is unusual. Story 92. Honestly, if it is based on trust and openness, I am okay with it as long as they are not reading conversations where my friends are venting to me. I say this because my friends vent to me in confidence that I am not going to share it with my boyfriend or with anyone else. This is not a situation where I am hiding things from my boyfriend. It is a situation where I respect my friends enough not to talk about their issues unless they give me permission. Story 93. I think it is fine, but if there is a general trust problem and you are not betraying their trust, there are probably some personal issues they need to work through. Story 94. I'm not going back and deleting texts from other women or my photos. That would take forever, so I think it would go poorly. However, if they said they were okay with seeing that content and not getting upset, they could look all they want. I still think they would get upset, though. Story 95. I don't care. In the worst-case scenario, she cannot find the application she was looking to open. I have to find it for her anyway. Story 96. I do not mind at all, but she does not do it. She just uses my phone whenever she needs it for something, and what she does with it is up to her. Story 97. We have a broad and open policy that we can use each other's phones. They are available to each other at any time. We know each other's passwords if they are locked. We do not check each other's texts or search histories. We do not hunt each other down on Reddit. We can open each other's emails, bank accounts, and credit card statements to see what recurring payments are scheduled, subscriptions, or apps each has purchased. We can also see what appointments are in our calendars and grocery lists in our notes. We do not do this unless asked or informed by each other, such as when someone leaves a phone behind at home or if something comes up and the other person's phone is closer and we need to look something up. We do not scroll through each other's pictures, texts, or social media to try to catch anything. We do not expect each other to be up to something or sense that they are. If we thought that or had a history of cheating, maybe all this would be different. But in general, we do not check each other's phones or search through them. If I walked into a room and found my husband of over 30 years looking through my social media or texts, I would say, "Hey, what's up? What do you need? Let me help you find it." Story 98. Neither of us has any interest in each other's phones. Being adults, we are entitled to the privacy we can have while being married with children. Story 99. I think that if you feel the need to check, you already have issues. My partner and I do not check each other's phones, but they are also not really off limits. For example, if I wanted to view a photo he took, I could just use his passcode and access it with no issues. However, we do not feel the need to check each other's messages. Story 100. Life pro tip. I had a coworker pass away recently. He had a lot of information and pictures on his phone, and no one in his family knew his password. It was heartbreaking. Your phone usually lets you set multiple fingerprints to unlock it. I set one to my wife's finger so that if something happens, she can access my phone. Story 101. She knows my personal identification number, and I do not care if she sees all the ridiculous things I search. We have total trust. Story 102. I do not care at all. If my wife is feeling insecure and wants to work it out in her own way, go ahead. I would prefer her to come to me directly with any suspicions. But humans are flawed. If she needs to go through my phone to soothe her insecurities in a way where she feels like she is not causing problems, all the power to her. I am squeaky clean, so what do I care? Story 103. I don't really care. I probably wouldn't appreciate him reading through private messages with my sister because she tells me deeply personal things. But if he just picks up my phone to use it and a text pops up or something and he reads it, I don't care. We don't go through each other's phones, but we have each other's passwords and such. I've used his phone before and he's used mine. We have joint finances. I'm not worried about privacy. I have nothing to hide, and neither does he. Story 104. I have nothing to hide, but I would not like it if they were just jealous and thinking I was cheating when I was not. However, if trust has been broken and your spouse is lying and you know it, it may be the only way to learn the truth. Story 105. I would never look at my partner's phone. I help them with updates and tasks that involve using their phone, but I make a point to never look at anything and always do it in front of them. Story 106. I guess the whole question is strange to me. Why would they be checking your phone? I think if there is any level of mistrust that would lead to somebody needing to check your phone, that is a pretty major problem in a relationship. Story 107. You could say this is why turning off phones is a thing. You have to actually hold a finger on the phone's sleep, wake button to turn it back on. Story 108. The mother of my children and I have been together for over 10 years, though we are not married yet. I have no worries if I lay my phone down and she picks it up. Yes, she knows my password. The only concern I have is when she gets annoyed with all the notifications on my phone and decides to delete them. Other than that, no worries. Story 109. My sweetheart can check my phone anytime he wants. He could ask, but he also knows my password, assuming he did not forget. I am reasonably certain I could do the same for his, and I have not forgotten his password. But he has not, and I do not feel any desire to. It would be like reading his diary somehow, and there is no need. Story 110. It frustrates me that she does not trust me. I leave my phone around and gave her the passcode, but she checks everything and insists on confronting me with her jealous behavior. If I treated her the same way, there would be serious consequences. Perhaps I am a fool for not checking hers because this behavior is often projecting, but I prefer to believe the best in a person rather than looking for the worst. Naive, I know. Story 111. I get annoyed because she plays on social media for hours, and I want attention. I have never felt insecure or jealous. She is not cheating. Story 112. I have been with my partner for 20 years, and he can look at my phone whenever he wants, and I can look at his. We have each other's passwords. Story 113. It really depends. If the spouse is quick to judge and lash out, then no. If the spouse is understanding and asks first before taking the phone, then yes. Story 114. I don't think it is okay to go through someone's messages ever. There are 2 or more people in those conversations, and my partner has no right to see what my friends have messaged me in private. I have no problem sharing my password for basic use when needed. If they want to check who I have messages from, then I would say trust has already been lost, but if it makes them feel better, then whatever. Story 115. I hate it. It bothers me when there is no trust. I do not check my wife's things. She spent hours checking my phone once after I fell asleep. Story 116. I feel that if anyone is concerned with checking another person's phone, the relationship already has issues. That is not a normal, healthy behavior. Story 117. My wife and I look at each other's phones all the time because neither of us is doing so out of snooping. It's just that whoever's phone is closer gets picked up if we need to check something. I trust her not to snoop, and she trusts me not to snoop. It is not okay to expect to comb through messages and emails from a place of distrust. That is a recipe for disaster within a relationship and reminds me of an ex-girlfriend who tried to do this. I had shown her a text my best friend sent me so she could laugh, and she spent 5 minutes scrolling up through the conversation asking questions about random things being said. When I told her it was not okay to browse through my texts, she accused me of cheating. The only thing I was trying to keep hidden was communicating with her best friend, a very good but very unemployed sculpture artist, so I could commission a birthday present by turning some of my now ex-girlfriend's concept art into something physical for her. Story 118. If either party feels the need to check, there are deeper issues such as low self-esteem or trust issues. Story 119. I am not married yet, but I am okay with my boyfriend checking my phone. He can already access it whenever. Story 120. I equate it with reading someone's diary, which technically you could do on someone's phone. So obviously it is not okay. Story 121. I have nothing to hide. The only time I use private browsing mode on my browser so my spouse does not see is when I am looking up gifts for him or if I am searching how to spell an embarrassingly easy word. Story 122. I do not go around expecting to find anything except texts from my mother, sisters, or Reddit notifications. I do not have a life, and everyone who has dated me knows that. Story 123. It is probably time to end it if they are paranoid enough to go through the trouble because chances are it will not be a one-time event. It is similar to asking, who did you sleep with last night? Story 124. I think my husband spends more time on my phone than I do, but mine usually has more battery life. It comes down to trust in the relationship. I have nothing to hide, and he feels no reason to look. It goes both ways. I may use his phone to make calls or use the GPS, but I have no reason to go through his messages. Story 125. Let us put it this way. If you have been honest with them about things, you will not care, even if the idea is not good. Story 126. My general rule of thumb is to check my phone anytime. You may find something you do not like, but nothing nefarious. However, if you feel the need to check my phone, that is where the problem lies. Story 127. This feels like a chicken and egg problem. If you have to look, you lack trust. If you do not want to have your phone looked at, you lack openness. This is at best a communication issue with couples and at worst a secrecy or control issue of one or both spouses. Story 128. Checking is problematic. However, hiding or having a reason to hide things from each other is also a problem. A relationship needs to be built on trust. Story 129. I would feel important if she cared enough to do that. I do not really care. My ideal relationship does not involve anything without the other person knowing. Story 130. If there is trust, it should not be a big deal. However, if they feel the need to check, the real issue is trust itself. Story 131. I don't really care if you go through my messages, but I don't like having my search history looked at. It feels like an invasion of privacy, in my opinion. It's not because I'm searching for inappropriate things. Sometimes I just look up random stuff that can be kind of embarrassing. Story 132. She would find many boring conversations about video games and fish tanks. On a serious note, my wife has all my passwords for everything, and I do not assume she goes through anything. She uses my phone all the time for music, photos, and other things. We do not have a strange relationship with our phones. Story 133. Checking for what? The time because they cannot find their phone? No problem. I am just looking to see who I am talking to. Out of mistrust or jealousy, we have issues that need immediate addressing. Story 134. Anyone who has been in an abusive relationship understands why it is harmful. The old "help me calm down by letting me see your phone" line is very common. In abuser-victim dynamics, the abuser does not see themselves as separate from their partner. If the person feels bad or anxious, it is because the partner has made them feel that way. The partner is merely an extension of themselves. Feelings are seen as facts, which is why phone checking occurs, to help reduce anxiety. However, the anxiety is always present because it is created internally, so no amount of external input can soothe it. It is like a tap in the person's brain they cannot shut off, and this causes controlling behaviors to escalate into anxiety around every situation where the partner has been absent. Whether intentionally or not, the partner starts to lose their autonomy. They are placed in a constant state of fight or flight, never knowing when authorities will want to check up on them to see where they were and who they were talking to. Feels like being on parole. Phone checking, bank checking, and constant texting are not positive behaviors. They are major red flags. Additionally, mental gymnastics are used to justify this behavior. 1. If you have nothing to hide, why be concerned? 2. People dismiss it as normal because that is what love is, right? 3. If it makes your partner feel safer and more secure, especially if their ex cheated, why would you not do that for them? These are highly manipulative reasons that trap people into cycles of defending themselves or being seen as uncaring. Story 135. My wife can check my phone whenever she wants to. I don't think she ever has, but she should. There are some funny dog videos on there. Story 136. We each can go on each other's phone whenever. Actually, my husband made a great move on our first date by giving me his phone unlocked to pick the music and even to reply to a text while he was driving. We have never had to check phones for suspicious reasons, but we have used each other's phones for random things too, and it is never an issue. Story 137. What do I have to hide? I am not married, but I do not care if my boyfriend uses my phone. The worst he is going to see is my meme collection. Story 138. Checking my phone is from mistrust. I am not hiding anything, but if you mentally have this need to check, leave. If you want to use my phone, go ahead. Story 139. I get post-traumatic stress disorder from my mother obsessively auditing my phone when I was a teenager, to the point that I do not like anyone even touching my phone, even when it is locked or turned off entirely. Although it has been about 15 years and I have not had anything to hide for at least 10 years. Story 140. I want him to answer my texts while I am driving or have my hands full with tasks that are tedious to interrupt. My phone also has the audio streaming service that is synced to the Bluetooth devices, so if he wants to choose music, my phone plays it ad-free. My phone is the one that does not have a cracked screen, so if we are reading something while we are out, my screen is easier to read. My phone also has a better speaker for phone calls. There are many practical reasons for him to use my phone. It is not like he is snooping or ranking me by changing everything on my phone. Story 141. My wife knows my personal identification number code, and I have given her facial identification access as well. She is free to look whenever she wants but never has. Story 142. I don't like it. I have nothing on there that would cause any issues, but I also feel like it is my space. We share everything, so it is my one place where it is just mine. That is nice to have. She goes in to do things all the time, like when I am driving and we need to check something. But if she just picked it up and started wandering around, looking at everything, it would stress me out. Story 143. My spouse does not check my phone or computer, and I do not check his. We respect each other's privacy and ask permission if we need to use each other's belongings. If he feels the need to check my phone, he is welcome to do so because I have nothing to hide. However, that is not desirable behavior in a loving partner. Story 144. He can see anything on my phone, but I don't like the idea of him feeling the need to check it or doing so behind my back. He would also potentially see things I don't want him to see, like notes where I jot down ideas for gifts I think he would like in the future or personal messages from my best friend. We often ask each other to grab each other's phones to change the music or for other reasons. We sometimes answer each other's phones if it makes sense. But the feeling of checking your partner's phone is unpleasant. Story 145. My husband can have my phone anytime he wants. He can read all my messages and emails. I don't care. The only thing I would get mad about is if he messes with my Spotify or my games. We might fight if he does something that messes up those things. Story 146. Go ahead. My wife hated Android, so she will not bother. I am the same way with iPhones. I am not going to bother. Story 147. Absolutely never, but I had a previous abusive and cheating partner, so it is now a point of trust for me. My phone is my personal space, like a diary. I will show things if I want to, but it never gets looked at without explicit permission, and I extend the same to my partners. Trust regarding those things is the absolute bedrock in a relationship. Story 148. It's funny when they laugh and say, "Why would you care?" Because they don't think you have any skill anyway. Story 149. My partner is welcome to pick up my phone anytime he likes. Use it, look for something, or go on apps. I have zero issues with that. He can do it in front of me or walk away to use it. I can also use his phone. Open communication is important. I was married for 25 years before, and my ex would always make sure his phone was with him. He would never let me touch it, not even to call my phone when I lost it. Hence the ex. Story 150. I think it's annoying when a significant other looks through my phone because I do not have anything to hide. It is really upsetting to be with someone who does not trust you for no reason or wants to casually go through your stuff. I will gladly hand you my phone to use GPS or respond to a text from someone. I do not care. But if I am asleep, in the shower, or otherwise without my phone, it is such a lame teenage thing to go through it. If you do not trust me, let's stop wasting my time. Goodbye. Story 151. Checking my phone sounds like a negative thing, as if they have trust issues and are looking for incriminating evidence. If that is the case, they can leave and take their trust issues with them. Story 152. My wife does not really check my phone. Surprise, we love each other. But she can open it anytime she wants, and she does to search for information or look at menus of restaurants we are on the way to. Story 153. I would be so embarrassed. He does not know how bad my health anxiety is and would be shocked at my internet searches. Story 154. No. I have very personal conversations with friends and family that are nobody's business. Do not be with me if you cannot trust me. Story 155. She likes seeing what adult content I have been watching, what my friends are doing with their wives, and any photos I have taken. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.